Thank you.
Saurabh ji, how come you all are sitting with masks on? आप हो
Sir,
कहाँ
we
पे?
are in the office.
No, you may be in your office, but you are in your room.
Sir, now I am not taking any chances. I will never remove. It is part of my kit, part of my drill.
Acha, wonderful, very good, good idea. And I hope you
Whatever
are...
said and done, I am not going to remove it, sir.
Okay, good. No, that's very important. That's good.
Yes, sir. I have suffered very heavily, and I have realized how bad it was, sir.
तो अब ये विवेक घर में है आज ऑफिस में, अगर विवेक को भी पहनवाओ, सबको पहनवाओ.
Vivek is in the office.
सर
Okay.
पहना हुआ था, अभी उतारा है.
अच्छा, ओके, ठीक है. खेतान साहब को ज्वाइन कराइए.
हाँ जी,
He is already there, sir.
He's joined back. He's joined back.
तो नकुल जी नमस्कार, हर्ष जी नमस्कार.
Namaste, thank you.
Hello, sir.
विनीता जी नमस्कार. Anybody else joining, Vivek ji?
Sir, Salil ji is joining us, the co-chair. He's having.
I saw for a moment, I saw glimpses of Dr. D.K. Agarwal.
That could be the, I think the corporate video which we were running.
Is that? Acha.
We are running the corporate video before every program.
Yeah, that I saw.
It's a nice video, Vivek ji. I first time seen it. It's very nice.
Thank you
Very
so
welcome
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It was launched in the last annual session.
Okay.
I think Salil has difficulty with the link.
Okay. So Ritika ji is also joined, I think.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Ritika.
Hi.
Good
Saurabh
evening.
ji, good to see you. कैसे हैं आप?
Good afternoon. Absolutely fine, Ritika ji.
Very
All good.
good. Really good to see you like this.
Yeah.
I'll be on the move. Sorry if my video goes sometimes, but I'll be all present and listening to Mr. Khaitan. Hello, uncle. How are you? Anil uncle.
I'm fine, beta. How are you doing?
Good. Really looking forward to listening to you. And then next month it's Vedika's turn, so I will judge who's better.
I always want you always want your children to excel you.
Yeah, that's there, uncle. But I'm really looking forward to what you have to tell us.
Yeah, now she's got a international certification also of a life coach.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And she's already coaching about, I think, 9-10 people across India, one-to-one.
Wow. Great.
That's excellent because I had heard some very good reviews of her session from some other groups, and I had recommended her on our little co-chair groups, with chair group which we have, and everybody knows her and everybody highly endorsed her. So we're so happy, and she's already part of IBLF. So we're glad that she's going to be addressing our forum next month.
Well, thank you, Aditi. Aditi, I'm very particular about time. It's 5 minutes over. If
Yeah.
Yes, we should start. Vivek ji, let's start. We're all here.
Okay. So thank
Salil ji
you.
will join. Let's start here.
Yes, we'll start.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mr. Khaitan, our former president, for acceding to our request to address the Young Business Leaders Forum today, the first fateful Friday evening of January 2021, which is giving a lot of aspirations and hopes to a lot of people. So, sir, thank you very much for accepting our request to be here today. I'd like to thank our Senior Vice President, Mr. Pradeep Multani, for being here, sir. It's always an encouragement with you on the screen, I would say, to conduct these kind of programs as always. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I'd like to thank our chair, Ms. Aditi Pasari, our co-chairs, Mr. Harsh Kataruka, Mr. Nakul Multani, our co-chairperson, Ms. Ritika Agarwal, and our co-chair, who is just trying to link up with us, Mr. Salil Gupta, for being here this evening. This is a very important session because I think focus is one of the most important things as we go forward, especially in the post-COVID era, in case we can start calling it now that the vaccine is out, and focus on health and focus on our business objectives and goals will be key to our progress with harmony and development. That's what PhD stands for in the year 2021. With that, I'd like to request Mr. Pradeep Multani, Senior Vice President, to kindly give the welcome and the presidential remarks for the session on Leadership Talk Series with Mr. Anil Khaitan, former President and Chairman and Managing Director of Sunil Healthcare Limited, former President, PhD Chamber, and Chairman and Managing Director of Sunil Healthcare Limited. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vivek. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the YBLF Leadership Talk Series with Mr. Anil Khaitan, former President and Chairman and Managing Director, Sunil Healthcare Limited. We also have with us today Ms. Aditi Pasari, Chair YBLF, Ms. Ritika Agarwal, Co-Chair YBLF, Mr. Salil Gupta, Co-Chair YBLF, Mr. Harsh Katuruka, Co-Chair YBLF, Mr. Nakul Multani, Co-Chair YBLF, Mr. Vivek Saigal, Assistant Secretary General, PhD, my friends and colleagues from industry, ladies and gentlemen. We are all looking forward to hearing Mr. Anil Khaitan, and we thank him for being here this evening to share his experience with YBLF members and guiding them on the entrepreneurial journey. During Mr. Khaitan's presidential year, he always encouraged Young Business Leaders Forum and supported them in every possible way. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome again all of you this evening for this enlightening session with Mr. Khaitan. A brief about the PhD Chambers. Friends, I would like to take this opportunity to give you all a brief introduction of the PhD. PhD has been working as a catalyst for the promotion of Indian industry, trade, and entrepreneurship for the past 116 years. It is a forward-looking, proactive, and dynamic pan-India apex organization. As a partner in progress with industry and government, PhD Chamber, with a special focus on MSMEs, works at the grassroots level with strong national and international linkages for propelling progress, harmony, and integrated development of the Indian economy. PhD reaches out to more than 150,000 companies with total focus on the development of small and medium businesses. PhD has been co-opted national and international industry association and organizations through over 100 MOUs signed between the parties, and also sent a lot of representations to government regulators for the benefit of the industry. Friends, Arjun's arrow is a story from Hindu mythology about the greatest archer of all time. The tale's true title is Arjun of Mahabharata, and this epic tells the story of an archer who, when he focused on a target, would always hit the mark. Today's session on Arjun's focus by Mr. Khaitan is extremely relevant to all of us. Being focused while being in a flow state can greatly improve productivity, but it is not always easy to achieve that level of focus. Research shows that setting clear goals and being able to achieve a high level of focus helps with both the enjoyment of a task and with the performance of that task. Of course, reaching that focus zone and staying there is not easy. A study conducted by the University of Illinois found that brief diversions from a task can help a person to be more focused on the task when they restart it. I will not talk much on the topic, as I leave it to the wisdom of our eminent speaker for the day to get more insights on the topic. Before I conclude, on my behalf and on behalf of my colleagues at the PhD, I can say that that at Chamber, we are committed towards promoting entrepreneurship and leadership amongst our youth. Let me assure you all with our complete support to all the future endeavors of YBLF. With these words, I conclude my welcome address, and we all look forward to hearing Mr. Anil Khaitan. I do hope that all the participants draw maximum benefit out of today's webinar from the words of experience by Mr. Khaitan. Thank you. Stay safe and healthy. God bless everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for those intriguing remarks and setting the tone for the evening. I'd like to invite Ms. Aditi Pasari, the chair of the YBLF, the Young Business Leader Forum, for her remarks and welcome to our former president, Mr. Anil Khaitan. Ms. Pasari.
What a wonderful way to start this year. Dear friends, I take this opportunity to extend warm welcome to all of you. And on behalf of PhD Chamber, I would like to thank you all and Mr. Anil Khaitan ji for agreeing to be with us here today. Friends, as you may be aware, that YBLF, Young Business Leaders Forum, is an integral part of the PhD Chamber, which was created keeping in mind the issues of young entrepreneurs, dedicated towards the development of the youth as future business leaders. The Young Business Leaders Forum works effectively for promoting and developing business networking, leadership skills, organizes programs for mentoring, and simultaneously contribute to national building. Coming to today's interesting topic, Arjun ka focus, baki sab bogus. This topic has built curiosity amongst all participants, including me. We are all eagerly awaiting to hear inspiring words from respected Mr. Khaitan. Sir, before I hand over to you, may I have the privilege of introducing you to the audience. Mr. Anil Khaitan ji, Chairman SNK Corp, attended Vincent High School, Mussoorie, and thereafter completed his BCom degree and joined family business in 1976. He qualified his MBA from IMI Geneva in the year 1981. Mr. Khaitan has diversified business experience relating to jute industry, paper industry, pharmaceutical industry, copper and steel industry, apart from our international operations. With a vast experience of 44 years, he has held various offices, including President of PHT-CCI and other important positions in various industry bodies. In addition to the business expertise, Mr. Anil Khaitan ji has always had a great zeal to learn and experience the nature and life around him. His favorite quote, "The only thing perfect in the world is nature," has been truly followed by him in his personal life and adventures. His hobbies of athletics, sports, and yoga keep a fit body. Reading and quest for learning ensures an agile and open mind, and meditation and interest in music and thereafter and theatre bring about his creativity and calmness of temperament. For him, life is a continuous journey, and he aims to achieve excellence in each sphere of life. With these, I will conclude my remarks and invite our esteemed speaker for today. I am sure that with today's deliberations by our esteemed speaker, we all have takeaways from this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aditi, and namaskar to each one of you. And a very happy and a successful 2021 after what we've gone through in 2020, and hopefully evolved each one of us in a better way to conduct our lives, to conduct our businesses. Multani ji, my very dear friend, my colleague, and our senior vice president and president designate, our secretary general, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, principal director, Vivek, Aditi, our chair of the YBLF, Ritika, our co-chair, Nikhil, co-chair, Multani ji Jr., I couldn't get his first name, Koche, and other YBLF members. It's really great fun. I love talking to young people because I always say that you youngsters are India. I have passed my prime. It's you guys who are going to change India and make our Prime Minister's vision successful. This topic, Arjun ka focus, Bagis of focus. Well, it was coined by me only about 7-8 years ago because I studied the Vedanta and the Gita. So while, one of the days I was doing chapter 3 of the Gita, which Lord Krishna tells Arjun, hard facts on Karma Yoga. So that's where all of a sudden it just came early in the morning. So I, at various forums, even in my presidential years, I remember in my various talks, I used to mention this statement. खुदा की समझदारी ही अहमियत रखती है, वरना अर्जुन और दुर्योधन के गुरु तो एक ही थे, द्रोणाचार्य. Focus. First of all, each one of you must remember that whatever we are doing, whatever we are engaged in, our businesses, our professions, art, culture, music, sports, whatever, we must be focused on what we are doing. We must learn to deep dive. We cannot do deep dive in shallow waters. As Martin Luther King very famously said, that if you are not ready to die for something, your life is just not worth living. That is a very, very strong and a loaded statement by none other than Martin Luther King. Coming first, I'll start with the story of Mahabharata. This particular story of Arjun ka focus, Bagis of focus. Logically, a teacher should have no favorites. Yet, Arjun was Dronacharya's. The Guru decided to prove to the world why the third Pandav was the exception to this rule. You know how you're always being asked to concentrate on things, on your lessons, games, writing. This story from Mahabharata, which I'm going to narrate to you, is purely devoted to the English word focus. After the death of King Pandu, his wife Kunti brought the 5 Pandavas to Hastinapur, where they grew up with their 100 cousins, the Kauravas. Now their teacher in the arts of warfare was the great Dronacharya, and a teacher is not supposed to have favorites. But Drona could not help being partial to Arjuna, the third Pandava. One night, Dronacharya heard that twanging of the bowstring. Wondering who was shooting the arrow in the dark, he went to investigate. Since there was no light, it was very dim. He could make out a dim figure shooting. When he went closer, he realized it was none other than Arjun. What are you doing here so late at night? He asked sternly. A startled Arjun around. He turned around and saw his teacher frowning blackly. He bowed and politely said, I'm practicing my archery, sire. I can see that, replied Dronacharya. I want to know as to what you are doing so late in the night. Arjun said, sire, when I was having dinner, the wind blew the lamp out. But that didn't stop me from eating. I was able to transfer the food in the dark from my plate to my mouth without spilling the food. So if I can eat my food in the dark, why can I not shoot in the dark? And overjoyed, Dronacharya then decided to show his other pupil why he favored Arjun. One day, he set up a target in the shape of a bird on a tree and invited his students to shoot at it. Before they did so, however, they had to answer his questions. First, Duryodhan took up his stance. What can you see? Asked Dronacharya. The answer was, I can see the bird, the leaves, the tree. Dronacharya ordered him to put the bow down and go back to his place. Next was Yudhishthir, but the answer was the same. Some others all came in. They could see the teacher, their cousins, and people standing around. The princes began muttering among themselves as one by one they were all sent back to their place without being allowed to shoot. Even Ashwathama, Dronacharya's son, could not understand what his father wanted. Finally, Arjun was the only one left. Dronacharya asked Arjun to come up and take his stance. When Arjun picked up his bow, set the arrow, and drew the string, his teacher asked, "What do you see?" Arjun replied, "The eye of the bird." "Can you see the tree?" asked Dronacharya. "No, only the eye of the bird," was the answer. Dronacharya then went through a list: tree, bark, leaves, flowers, fruits, his brothers, cousins, even Dronacharya himself. To everything, Arjun's answer was the same: "No, I can only see the eye of the bird." When Dronacharya gave him the order to shoot, Arjun released the arrow. It sped straight to the target and the bird came tumbling down. Dronacharya embraced the boy and told others, when you want to achieve something, you must focus on it. Close out all other distractions and concentrate only on your target. And that, friend, is actually a definition of laser focus. A laser focus is nothing. Imagine a 5,000 square feet room, which is lighted, and the room is empty. On the floor, you get a 5mm spotlight. That is laser focus. If you are able to focus on that spotlight, being oblivious of the entire insides of the room, that is called laser focus. And each one of us, if we can develop that laser focus in our lives, other than the Creator, no human force on earth, I can tell you with firm conviction, can stop our happiness, our progress, our success, and our contribution to our great nation. Telling you a small story. A successful attorney, he parked his brand new Bentley in front of the office. You know how people are, they buy a Rolls Royce. Say if I buy a new car and I was the president, I'd go and park it at PhD to impress people. As getting out of the car, a truck came on the left-hand side and tore off the driver's door. The cops came running in, and the lawyer started screaming about his losses of his Bentley car. The cop said, "I can't believe how materialistic you lawyers are. You are so focused on your possessions that you neglect the most important thing in life. What is that? Asked the lawyer. The cop said, don't you realize your left arm is missing, severed by the truck? And the lawyer says, oh my God, my Rolex watch gone. Now, I want to, in focus, when we talk, we have to go a bit on psychology. We have to understand our mind, because without a mind, no human being can exist. We have a conscious mind, we have a subconscious mind. Let us understand and let us talk today about our subconscious mind, which is the powerful secondary learning system that runs everything in our lives. Learning how to stimulate the communication between the conscious and the subconscious minds is a powerful tool on the way to success, happiness, and riches. The subconscious mind of ours is a data bank, for everything which is not stored in our conscious mind. If it stores our beliefs, our previous experience, our memories, our skills, everything that we have seen, done, or thought is also there. It is our guidance system. It constantly monitors the information from the senses for dangers and opportunities. And it would communicate that information to the conscious mind. Have you ever read that humans only use a portion of the brain? I have read that we human beings are utilizing about 12 to 13% capacity, if I remember correctly, and Einstein and the Newton types, they were using about 15 to 16% of the capacity of the brain. And why is this? Because most of our mind is subconscious, but we do know that it could run and control almost everything in life that we do. For example, when we meditate and we start controlling our breath, we get the control from the subconscious mind and give it to our conscious mind. We start deep breathing with our stomach. Then we stop to control it, and our subconscious starts doing it. We get into that meditative trance. We are not aware that we are breathing deeply because the subconscious is controlling that deep breathing. We do not have to think about it anymore. Our breathing will continue to be relaxed until another stimulus changes it. Stress, for example, everything controlled in the back of our head. Another example of the tasks of the subconscious mind is the information coming from the senses, our five senses: touch, smell, see, taste, and hear. Our brain is bombarded with hundreds of megabytes per second of information. And honestly, believe me, friends, our brain would explode if it had to review and process everything. That is why the Creator has put a barrier in between, and the barrier is the subconscious mind. It processes everything which is relevant for you in this very moment. Communicating thoughts from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind is difficult because it should be done with emotions. Only thoughts that are conveyed with genuine emotions, they make it to the back of our conscious mind. And only the thoughts that are backed up by a strong emotion stay there. Unfortunately, this is true both for negative and the positive emotions. And also, unfortunately, the negative emotions in a human being are usually much stronger than the positive ones. Another aspect of our subconscious mind is fear and negative self-talk. We human beings have this constant fear and we constantly do self-talking to ourselves. And most of the time, we find self-talking to ourselves is negative self-talking we are doing to ourselves. And that is something which we have to control with the strength of our mind, which I will come to later on. Our first step in harnessing the power of our subconscious mind is to eliminate the thoughts loaded with negative emotions. And we also need to stop negative self-talk, or at least make sure that it is not loaded with emotions. Our fears often tend to come true, especially when we are emotional about them. And this is why negative self-talks could produce such harmful effects. Eliminating these negative thoughts or countering them as soon as possible is very important step towards success. There is story about our guardian angel that follows each one of us. And mind you, my friends, each one of the human being has a guardian angel on this planet. And when we say to ourselves, my life is awful, what does a guardian angel do? It just writes down on a piece of paper, awful life. When you say my job is boring, it just writes down, boring job. When you say my body is ugly, it writes down, ugly body. When Aditi says, I'm so beautiful, it writes down, Aditi, you're beautiful. And then it goes on and grants you all those wishes because they are filled with strong emotions, sadness, disappointment, regret, self-loathing. That angel is no one but your subconscious mind. Stop here and ask yourself, can you afford letting negative thoughts enter your subconscious mind? We have a countering technique for this. One of the best practices in reducing negative self-talk is the counter technique. Every time a negative thought comes to our mind, counter it with an extreme positive counter thought. For example, if you have an important presentation to make in front of the Prime Minister, and you think to yourself, I am going to embarrass myself in front of the entire cabinet, immediately counter it with, no, I'm going to be so good that the audience and the Prime Minister himself is going to applaud me for 5 minutes. And believe me, friends, the truth will often be somewhere in between. The delete button technique. Another powerful tool in countering the negative self-talk is the delete button, which we have on our computer. When a negative thought enters our mind, we press the delete button in our mind and image how the thought was written, and write the thought on a piece of paper. If it is negative, put it under your shoes and crumple it. So what you're doing, you are trying to crumple that negative thought. If it comes again write it down, again put it under your feet, and again crumple it. Destroy it. I'm telling you, friends, do it. It works. I do it. Whenever I get negative emotions, negative thoughts, I write it down, I crumple it, and it started to work. And I'm getting lesser and lesser and lesser. So I'm talking through experience, and I would strongly suggest you should apply this technique in your lives. A burning desire of the subconscious. When our goal becomes a consuming obsession of our life, and we have the burning desire to see it coming through, then only we are successful. When we have set our subconscious mind on the task, backed up by that strong emotion, then it would allow us to see the opportunities in life that would lead us to our goals. Today, the best athletes become the best only because of their burning desire to be number one. There is nothing else they want from life except this. This is the dominating dream of their life. They are willing to do what it takes to achieve it. Now, what did Arjun do? Arjun stayed late after the training session, practiced his skill more. He took to expanding his skill set and become better than the rest. Set his subconscious mind to look for opportunities to achieve their goals. How can I cultivate this burning desire? Start with defining your goal, as Multani ji said. Make it as specific as possible. Make it as realistic as possible. Write it down somewhere and feel it. You know, one point is coming very clear, that whatever we think, unless we feel it deeply within our hearts, we cannot make it happen. I'm talking the positive stuff. Don't do anything on the negative side. So start with defining our goals. Make it as specific as possible. Make it as realistic as possible, as I told you. Now there is a concept which we have as the bridge burning technique. Now, what is this technique? We are burning the bridges, destroying the safe boats that we have kept anchored into the harbor. And why? Just in case if something messes up. Like Mr. Sanyal often told me when I was the president, sir, let's have 2 more speakers. In case 1 or 2 back out, we have a backup. And we also always agree to it. But now I realize, Mr. Sanyal, I was wrong, because our mind has evolved to help us survive. And it is then when it achieves the best result, when you know that survival is at issue. By burning the bridges, we set our mind in survival mode, and only way left is way ahead towards the goal. So that means when we get out of our comfort zone, the only way out is to burn the bridges, get out of the comfort zone, and that is where we become winners. Concentrate on small wins, baby steps, another very powerful tool to increase our focus. Let's assume we want to lose X kilo of weight. Start each day by looking at the graph of your progress so far. Hopefully, it is going down in general, but you might have small bumps. You might have gone to a wedding. You might have gone to a party. You might put on 1 kilo. That doesn't matter. And the best part is, put a picture on your desk of somebody whose body you admire and you want to become like that. Like, say, I like the physique of Hrithik Roshan. I have his physique on my office table, and it inspires me. Although, of course, I'm too old to now get there, to get to his physique. But when I was younger, the same photo earlier was of Sylvester, what was his name? Sylvester Stallone, of his Rambo movie. Coming to the motivational technique. Find out what energizes each one of us to work on our goal and use it. It could be positive people that encourages us. It could be a motivational video. it could be an outing, it could be an energizing song, anything. Whatever energizes you. In any way, make sure that the burning desire to achieve your goal is the part of your everyday life. Behind the scenes, your subconscious mind will be bombarded with thoughts about your goal, reinforced by the burning desire to achieve it. I come to now 3 powerful emotions. The most powerful positive emotions are faith, love, and sex. The first 2 are more spiritual. The last one is more biological. When all of them are present, they empower any thought, and it can easily enter the subconscious mind. Then it will act on the thought and will translate into actions, opportunities, and idea. Friends, there is a difference between faith and hope. Faith is different than hope because when we have faith, we are sure in the outcome. And when we hope, we are merely suggesting to ourselves one possible scenario in uncertain circumstances. Now we come to a concept known as the visualization technique. Next step forward in achieving our focus is to visualize it. It is based on having faith in the outcome, not hoping that the desired outcome will be true, but we must consider already that it's already true. Even before it becomes true, we must have that kind of visualization. This is a very powerful technique, friends. And visualizing our lives when our desires is already fulfilled is a great way of progressing, great way of improving, great way of putting our soul on dynamic fire. Yet aside several minutes a day, we should all close our eyes, whatever time we want, and imagine our life after we have achieved the goal, how happiness and how content we will be. Have you ever wondered why there are certain people who easily spot new opportunities? This happens because their subconscious mind feeds them more information on a specific subject than what other people usually get. Have you ever noticed that as soon as you really decide to do something, there comes an opportunity that allows you to do it? Like the law of attraction, if you want to do something and passionately, it is demonstrated scientifically that this universe gives it back to you. This is because when you make the decision, you form a thought and imbue that thought with desire and faith, and suddenly you start receiving the information that you need to achieve it. There is a concept of conscious perception. Now, what is conscious perception? Subconscious mind, as I said, it receives all information that our senses generate. It then filters the information and decides what should go to our conscious mind. And the difference, friends, between these 2 outcomes is called threshold for conscious perception. This is the difference between spotting an opportunity for an entrepreneur and missing it. It is only the matter of the mode in which you set your subconscious mind and the load of tasks we have given to it. Next, I would like to talk is on auto-suggestions. Nature and the creator have given human beings an absolute control over the information that enters our subconscious mind through our 5 senses. However, this does not mean that everyone exercises this control. Even more, in majority of cases, the average person does not exercise this control. This is why so many people go through life in poverty. The method of introducing thoughts to the subconscious mind is called autosuggestion. It comprises all self-administered stimuli which reach one's mind through our senses. The dominating thoughts that remain in the conscious mind, be it negative or positive, make their way automatically to the subconscious mind and influence it. A thought dominates if a strong emotion like faith, fear, love, and so on empowers it. The mantra technique. Mantras are so powerful. The Gayatri mantra is so powerful. Powerful techniques. Essence of these techniques is to repeat in our mind aloud a positive mantra that will help you overcome a difficulty of fear. I would like to again give a tip, which I do every day, and it has helped me in the last 4 years. I read a quote of Swami Vivekananda, where Swamiji said that every human being walking on this planet must speak to him or herself once in a day loudly. And then you see the transformation which takes place within you. Let's assume you are having a problem. Speak to yourself loudly on that problem. And believe me, as you are speaking to yourself loudly, be it in front of the mirror in the bathroom or during your morning walk or while you're driving the car, whatever, it's going to have salutary impact. And if you focus on the same speech for 30 days, I can give you in writing, you will change whatever you want to change in your life to become happy. Try it. And today is the 8th of January. If you try it from the 9th, catch me on the 9th February if you have not started feeling the change inside you, because the more you repeat it, the more strongly you will believe in it, the more faith you will put into your words, and better the result. According to many scientific studies, one of the major causes of illness is hypochondria. This is the art of convincing yourself that you are sick. I have seen in this corona pandemic, 2 or 3 of my people, my friends, they got a lot of pleasure in saying that they got corona. It's just hypochondria. So this is a powerful auto-suggestion mantra powered by negative emotions like fear. If that is possible, then this should also be possible to convince your mind that we are healthy, we are happy, we are rich. Now make sure to write down that goal and reinforce it with the desire to achieve it. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Why? Because repetition is the mother of all skills. Read your goal out aloud, which I just stated to you, after waking up and before going to sleep, and several times a day. Visualize yourself already in the possession of your desire. Let's say today the YBLF, we all talk in our former presidents whenever we get together. There is so much of talent in YBLF. This is the breeding ground of the future presidents of the PhD. That is the kind of passion whoever in YBLF desires to take the highest post in PhD. That is the feeling, that is the emotion you have to put into everything. Now, the physical preparation technique. Another tool is physical preparation. If you want to be famous, then start wearing those braces. If you've got those teeth which are outside, wear those braces. If you want to be romantic, go and get that extra toothbrush or that Listerine mouthwash to make you romantic. The detachment technique. This is the chapter 2, verse 47, where Lord Krishna tells Arjun, Karmane vadike ma phaleshu kadachina. Let go of your attachment to the outcomes, because we can never plan the outcome. You can never plan how exactly your desires will manifest itself. Do not narrow down on the options that you have at the moment, but rather adopt an open mind and have faith in unfolding of your dreams. Remember that there is a price to be paid in order to be able to influence our subconscious mind, and that price is persistence. You have to keep doing the steps for auto-suggestion. You have to keep repeating your goals aloud, and you have to keep faith in the outcome and the end result. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail just be a few days, or it could be the availability of a backup plan. Those who always say, in case I do not succeed, I will do this, I will do that, will always do this and that, because their mind would always keep thinking about the way out. So now to conclude my first point on subconscious, we have now all understood that it is the most powerful weapon which we human beings have in our arsenal. It depends what from the conscious we are delivering to our subconscious. That's totally dependent on us. That is why I tell my boys, for my grandchildren, that feed their conscious minds, because always remember, a brain surgeon had told me that you can put in the software in your children till the age of 8 years. After 8, their brains get hardwired. That is the time. Whatever you put in the conscious of your child till the age of 8 automatically goes into the subconscious, and slowly the personality of your child is basically formed, of course, apart from the inherent genetic issues. Now, I'll come to the topic of what is focus. Focus is definitely not what President Trump is still focused on, keeping his campaign promises during the pandemic, and even now today, as we talk on 8th of January. Focus, unfortunately, doesn't get the respect it deserves in the business world. We hear a lot about motivation, stress, emotions, leadership, teamwork, but not much attention is paid to the role that focus plays in our ability to be productive. Let's first start with what focus is. Simply put, focus involves the ability to pay attention to things that will help and avoid distractions that will hurt your work efforts. For example, to finish a report, you need to focus on the relevant information and analysis that will comprise the report. You must also avoid typical distractions such as emails, being hungry or tired, or the people around you. Focus is the most important because it is the gateway to all thinking, our perception, our memory, learning, reasoning, problem solving, and decision making. Without good focus, all aspects of our ability will suffer. Without focus, we won't be as effective in our work, because if we are not concentrating on the right things or are distracted, we won't be capable of getting our work done. We also won't be maximally efficient without good focus, because every time our mind wanders away from work, we are wasting time. Finally, we won't be as productive as we can, because our work output will not be of highest quality, and it will take us much longer to do it. Here's a simple reality. If you can't focus effectively, you cannot think effectively. That's the bottom line. There is no gray, it's just black and white. And if you cannot think effectively, you definitely cannot produce the quality of work necessary to be successful. From this perspective, it's not difficult to see why focus is such an essential tool for business. A progression of our focus. Here's a way we can think of focus in our work, what I call as focus progression. If you focus on your work intently, without distraction, for the time that is needed, you will do the work that is necessary. If you do the necessary work in a focused way, it's common sense that you will complete the work and produce a quality product in the shortest amount of time. How to focus better? The key question then is, how can you ensure that you have ideal focus at work that will result in productive and efficient outputs? Here are a few simple steps I am suggesting to you all. Number one, declutter your mind. We love clutter, declutter. One thing I'm sure we all agree is that a cluttered mind just cannot focus. If our mind is filled with stuff, such as all of the things we need to do today, we won't be able to focus so well. So go through your tasks and prioritize them. And you're like most business people we see, there are items on our calendar that we can put off to another day, or we can delegate or not do at all. Also, clear your mind of anything that doesn't relate to your work. That's very important. The less clutter we have in our mind, the better we will be able to focus. Create a focused workspace. This is a common problem. I have it in my office also. It is also not uncommon for business people to have cluttered offices. Huge number of photographs you will see, books, desk filled with junk, not to mention a flat television panel on the wall and uselessly the television is going on. Because that also defocuses the people. People don't realize that. A workspace filled with clutter means a mind filled with distraction. To help you focus better, simplify your office by removing unnecessary clutter. Sure, you can, of course, keep some family photos, mementos, which I get from PhD, to make my office so beautiful and an inviting place to work. And at the same time, get rid of anything that doesn't serve a specific work function. All the accumulated, let me use the American slang, crap, which we have accumulated on our desk and shelves over the years must be out. And the bottom line is, a simple workspace is a more focused and a less distracted workspace. Now, coming to technology, the single greatest obstacle of being focused in this digital age is our technology, including computers, tablets, smartphones. The pings, the vibrations, and other notification signals sent to us that a voicemail, email, text message, or social media update has arrived is a constant source of distraction. Recent research has shown two things about the so-called multitasking. First, people who say they are great multitaskers, as most people believe they are in fact the worst multitaskers. Second, there is no such thing as multitasking in my perception, at least not when it comes to work. Perhaps the best thing you can do to focus is that when it's time to get work done, turn off your technology and focus on the task at hand without disruption or any kind of distraction. There are 4 P's to a focus. The first P is perform. The second P is the process. The third P is the present. And the fourth P is the productivity. Perform. When you are going to begin a project, for example, a sales report, a strategic plan, a marketing analysis, or a financial projection, ask yourself, what do you need to perform your best? And then create an environment that will allow for optimal performance. The second P, the process. This involves focusing entirely on what you need to do a complete high quality product without the concern for the outcome. The third P is present, which means focusing on the here and now rather than what has happened or what might happen in future. Like here, Arjun asked Lord Krishna during the discourse of the Bhagavad Gita, when the Lord is telling Arjun about dynamic action. So Arjun asked, Madhav, what do you mean by dynamic action? And Lord Krishna gives a beautiful reply. He says, Arjun, clip your past, clip your future, concentrate on the present, and that is dynamic action. That is the third P of focus, that is present. And the last P, productivity, which involves focusing only on those things and blocking out distractions that will enable you to be the most productive you can be. If you can take control of your ability to focus and block out distractions, you have given yourself a powerful tool that will enable you to perform consistently, high level, and be both effective and efficient in your work efforts. The result, better quality work, more success and achievement of your professional goals. There is a little story again I want to tell you, because after this I'll be basically concentrating on the techniques of increasing focus. There was this gentleman, he couldn't sleep. He used to always feel that there is some kind of a spirit under his bed. So he went to a doctor, he went to a psychologist. He said, Doc, I feel in the night scared that under my bed there is some haunted spirit sleeping. So the doc says, well, you do one thing, come to me twice a week, $500 a sitting, and I think in 3 months, I will try to take you out of your fear. The name of the patient is Ramesh. So, Ramesh doesn't go for about 3 months. In month 4, the doctor sees him in a mall and says, hey, Ramesh, what happened, man? I called you, you never came. Ramesh says, no, doc, I had no need. Doc said, why? He said, I met a Marwadi. So doctor said, so? He said, the Marwadi he's a damn good man, doc. How? Marwadi said, very simple, boss. You just sell your bed and sleep on the floor. And I did exactly that, doc. And now no fear. And I sold my bed and I also made my money. So the story is, when you want to take an important decision, respect a Marwadi and take his advice. Now, I come to the last portion. I'm sorry if I bored you, but I'll come to the last portion. I'll try to hurry up. Number 1, how to increase your focus. Get rid of distractions. First things first. We need to eliminate distractions. While you can't do away with everything, you can make an effort to reduce or get rid of as many distractions as possible. Start with simple things like moving to a quiet area, turning off notifications on your phone, or turning your phone off altogether, closing the door to your office, telling those people around you not to distract you for a period of time, closing out programs or apps that aren't essential on your computer. Number 2 point, have coffee in small doses. Drinking coffee or other caffeinated beverages in small doses may have a positive impact on our ability to focus. The key to taking advantage of caffeine, cognitive enhancing properties, is to consume it in moderation. This is essential to stay focused. Then we have a very nice technique, which when I was doing my research and when I was writing on focus from the Bhagavad Gita, I came across this technique which is known as the Pomodoro technique. Staying focused helps you get more done in less time. I've already said that. While that sounds simple, it's not always easy to put in practice. So the next time you're wrestling with your attention span, try the Pomodoro technique. This timing method helps you train your brain to stay on the task for short periods of time. Here how it works. Set your timer for 25 minutes and get to work. When your buzzer sounds, take a 5-minute break. Set the timer again, get back to work. Once you've done 4 or 5 rounds of this, take a longer break, approximately 20 to 30 minutes, and you will see over the period how your attention span slowly increases, because nowadays the attention span is small. That's why anyhow, let's forget the chamber talk. Now, next is put a lock on social media. If our idea is a break from work is checking Facebook or Instagram every 5 minutes, you may want to consider an app. And now there are apps developed, which I am going to mention, that block social media. There are several apps that work for our phone, for our tablets, for our computers. In addition to social media, some of these distraction busting programs also allows us to block online games, as well as apps and sites like YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, Twitter, text, emails. And some of the names of the popular apps I want to mention to you in case any of you are keen. One is Freedom. The second is App Block. The third is Focus Me. And the fourth is Focus itself. The next point is eating. We all know what happens when hunger strikes. Now, hunger is a combination of hunger and anger. It's a dreaded combination. That's a major focus fail. So to keep our brain focused, our energy levels up, and our emotions on an even keel, make sure we don't delay or skip our meals. We try to balance lean protein, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats to stay fueled. Snack on fresh fruit, veggies, nuts, or seeds if you get hungry between meals. And be sure to keep yourself hydrated with plenty of water. And for an extra boost, include a few of these best brain foods in your day, which I have discovered during the pandemic. Things like green leafy vegetables like spinach and broccoli. For my friend, Mr. Sanyal, fatty fish such as salmon. And even my friend Sanjay loves his fish. Sanjay, that's a good idea for you also. Berries like blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, or blackberries, walnuts, tea and coffee, which I mentioned, for caffeine, but in moderation. Get enough sleep. It's no secret that majority of people are lacking in the sleep department. While a few nights of minimal sleep is okay, not getting enough sleep most night of the weeks. A lot of people, put up the collar, hey, I only sleep 2 hours a night. You're not realizing how much damage you're doing to your short and long-term memory, how much damage you're doing to your ability to concentrate. And the recommended amount of sleep for people between 18 to 60 years is minimum 7 hours. And for people 60 and above, this is all medically recommended. This is not my recommendation. It's up to 9 hours per night. To boost the health of our sleep, we must do something. Avoid caffeinated beverages to the extent you can after after 4 or 5 in the evening. Switch off electronic devices an hour before the bedtime, because the light from these devices, they basically stimulate our brain and prevent us from feeling sleepy. Take time to wind down, read a book, take a warm bath, listen to soothing music, go for a walk, play a game. And this thing is very important, which we don't realize, the temperature of our bedrooms. Keep the temperature. There was a study done by Cleveland Clinic in the United States, and Cleveland Clinic came out with an ideal temperature range of human beings is between 19 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. My seventh technique is set a SMART goal. S, specific. What exactly needs to be done? M, measurable. How will you track your progress? A, achievable. Is it realistic? Can it be done by the deadline? R, relevant. How does it fit with the overall plan of my focus or my goal? T for time. When does it need to be done? When you take a large, complex project and break it down into smaller bite-sized tasks, you can boost your ability to concentrate and focus on specific tasks. That's because you end up with goals that you actually feel you can accomplish. Does your mind tend to wander away from where it's supposed to be? Don't worry, you're definitely not alone. Distracted thinking is common world over, and something we all experience. Even all of us listening here, all of us get distracted. However, these short mental vacations which we have every day often make it harder to focus on the task in front of us. That's where mindfulness comes in. Being mindful means you can maintain moment to moment awareness. This is again what Lord Krishna. I'm sorry, there was a tape recorder on my computer which said the recording has stopped, and now it's on. By being mindful and recognizing when your attention starts to drift, and that can only happen once we are aware, we can quickly bring back our focus to where it needs to be. Plus, we can actually train our brain to be more mindful this is where Baba Ramdev comes in, by breathing technique, meditation, and mindful movements such as yoga. And a simple technique which we all know, make to-do list. Let's face it, the items on a to-do list can add up quickly. It can be challenging to find the motivation to accomplish everything you set out to do. That is why have a small written plan of action to increase your productivity. After you make your list, choose just 2 or 3 key tasks, put them at the top, focus on them, and just do it. And the last point I want to make before I close is try to focus on similar tasks. Try not to jump from one task to the another. That is like, flitting from one flower to the other. You will not be able to make any impact on the work which you are trying to achieve. So you got to pick tasks that are similar, group them together, and do one task at a time. It has been proved again and again by technology, by science, that a human brain can only perform one task at a time. And most of us believe that we are multitaskers, and we make a mess of it because we never go deep and we spread ourselves shallow. This makes transition smoother, and we may find that we get a lot more done by not jumping from one type of task to the another. Despite what you may think, multitasking is no more effective or efficient, especially when you're struggling with staying focused. And now the bottom line is, friends, whether you're dealing with too many competing priorities, lack of sleep, or just a simple dose of the Monday mornings or the Monday morning blues, not being able to focus can really put a damper on your productivity. That's why it's important to have these few simple tips, which I gave you on your fingertips, so that you know how to zone in on what needs to get done, can help you stay on track with your most important task each day. And before I conclude, I'd like to bring one concept of the Vedanta or the Bhagavad Gita. Today, each human being is made of three: our gross body, and in this body, we have two subtle bodies. One is our mind, one is our intellect. What happens through our senses, we get maybe a thought that I want to go to a movie. That comes simultaneously to the mind and the intellect. Mind and the intellect is nothing but what Lord Krishna says in the Gita, Mano Buddhi. Mano is the mind, Buddhi is the intellect. When any thought comes to any human being, each one of us has experienced, our mind will take the easiest route, but our Buddhi, which is the intellect, that is the discrimination tool the Creator has given in human beings. And that is why we are human beings. Because mind, even animals have. But animals don't have the intellect. That is the discrimination power. And our intellect is directly linked with our inner voice. And हम बहुत बार कहते हैं, हमारी अंदर की आत्मा गवाही नहीं देती है. उसका क्या मतलब हुआ? कि हमारी इनर वॉइस कहती है ये मत करो. एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे मेरे को डायबिटीज है. आई एम वेरी फॉन्ड ऑफ एप्पल पाई विद आइसक्रीम. if any of you want to call me for dinner. Now, I have diabetes, fond of apple pie ice cream, come to your house for dinner. Doctor tells me sweet strictly banned. See the apple pie ice cream. Mind says, chalo yaar, kya farak padta hai, kha lo. Intellect immediately says, the conscience says, something is saying, no, don't. You've got diabetes. 99%, I will succumb to my mind and I will eat that apple pie with ice cream. This is what I say is the fault of a human being. You will always find a gravitated human being, a man who's a man of principle. He'll always think more from his intellect, less from his mind. He'll constantly endeavor to strengthen his intellect, because intellect always tells you that what is poison today is going to be Amrit tomorrow. And your mind tells you what is Amrit today is going to be poison tomorrow. So to conclude, when anybody tells you you are right or you are wrong, I used to ask myself, who is that guy to judge that I'm right or am I wrong? Is he the creator? Did he create me? Then my spiritual guide told me, he says, Anil, you're wrong. Today, nobody in the world can judge anybody other than they themselves. I asked him, how, sir? He says, when your conscience doesn't prick you when you're doing an action, it means you're doing the right action. Even if it's a wrong action in the eyes of the world, go ahead and do it, because your inner voice says you're doing the right action. And believe me, friends, inner voice never will take you on the wrong path. So my inner voice now says that I should stop. You guys might have got bored, and I give it back to you, Aditi. I hope I could create some value, and I really hope that all of us in PhD adopt this, the present leadership, the incoming leadership, and I'm so happy that one of our own members, Saket Dalmia, who was a YBLF chair even in my presidency, would also become president 22 or 21, whenever. And so it's good. Nice talking to you. And back to you, Aditi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ketanji. It was an extremely enlightening session for me. So many questions I thought I had in my mind that I will ask you at the end of the session, but you answered all of them. For example, WhatsApp, which is a constant distraction for, I think, most of us here of my forum. Constantly, even during a meeting, I pick up my phone and check a WhatsApp, and I'm myself troubled with these issues of mine, but just habits are compulsive, which I'm not able to let go. And yeah, so many questions I had, which you just went on addressing in your speech. So I'm almost speechless now. Like, so much to learn. There's so much to take away. And all those 7 things you said, how to improve your focus, I noted them down. I think it's a fantastic learning. I had a very, very good time. And I'm very sure that Dia Forum had a very good time. What do you say, Harsh?
Yeah, I mean, definitely so many things that resonated and so many things that we know that we ought to be doing where we are faltering. One thing that I really loved, which which Sir said, which I read in another book about doing baby steps. So there's a stat I'll just share. I read, if you are at 1 today, and if you improve by 1% every day, which you cannot see, which is not tangible, and which you cannot notice on a daily basis, at the end of 1 year, if you're improving 1% every day, so 1.01 to the power 365 is actually 37.88. You become 37.8 times better than what you're today. And if you decrease your performance by 1% every day, you go down to 0.025. So you go around to 0, or you go down to 37 times better on the basis of just 1% difference every day. But fantastic talk, sir. We are honored to have you here and have you address us.
Thank you.
Ritika, what is your take? Come on.
The session was very insightful and equally inspiring. What I really liked was how you were giving examples from our day-to-day lives. You know, that was really remarkable for us, at least for me personally. And I had a couple of questions. I think we should start with the co-chairs. And Harsh, do you have a question to ask Mr. Ketan?
Yeah, I did actually. Sir, just wanted your thoughts on one thing. A lot of these habit formation or productivity how to improve productivity kind of sessions or talks or methods prescribe getting up early in the morning, say 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and getting a 2 to 3 hour head start before the day sucks you in to do all the Pomodoro techniques and mindfulness. So just wanted to know your thoughts on getting up so early, which is difficult in today's day and age for a lot of us of our generation at least. So just want to know your thoughts on that, whether that actually gives an incremental and a significant change in your focus.
Yeah, I can already see Vivek smiling, because a lot of people in PhD know my routine. Even Mr. Sanyal is smiling. Because, you know, Harsh, normally for the last about 5 years, I normally get up at about 3 in the morning. And then I go for my walk after my meditation and everything at about 4:30. And I come back by 6 o'clock. So when I come back, I find that I have accomplished a lot of things. And then from, 6 till I have to go to office, reading the newspaper, playing with my grandchildren, playing with the children, attending to phone calls. I mean, see, you can find time for everything in life, but you got to have that inner determination. And you got to, because see, you have 24 hours. Now, if you say sleep for 8 hours, now you have to divide conscientiously as per your lifestyle, your circumstances, whatever, how you are going to use the remaining 16 hours. If you're going to use 8 hours in office, then you have 8 hours left. Then how are you going to use that 8 hours? So once you plan that broadly,
Right.
you find your life will start getting a direction. Your life will start getting a movement, and you will actually feel, yes, I am moving. Because you know, Harsh, I'm telling you, never ask for self-approval. वो तुम्हारी अंदर की भावना तेरे को बता देगी. अब आज मेरे को अंदर से मेरी भावना बता रही है कि was I able to convey to you people what I wanted to convey? हमको किसी से पूछने की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर हम किसी से पूछेंगे कि भाई कैसी रही, it means I am doubting my own self. तो मेरे हिसाब से जो आपका क्वेश्चन था 3 बजे, बिकॉज देखो अपने वेदों के हिसाब से जो तुम्हारा ब्रह्म मुहूर्त का डेफिनेशन है वो याद रखना सनराइज के 96 मिनट्स पहले
Okay.
द ब्रह्म मुहूर्त स्टार्ट्स टिल द सनराइज. और ब्रह्म मुहूर्त में हर सही माने में तुम जितने सात्विक काम करो, मेडिटेशन करो, प्राणायाम करो, कुछ भी करो, द इम्पैक्ट इज ह्यूज on your mind. And if the impact in a positive way on your mind, then impact on your whole health. Did I answer your question?
Sure, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
Salil, do you have any question?
So
You're
I
muted.
think
Yeah, hi. Not really a question though, but I would like to really thank you for all the words that you said. It was actually very insightful. Most of them, obviously, we relate to quite a bit. I think most of us have. It's this, I'm repeating what the others have said, but that is how it was. So we do, we're very, very grateful that you're here and we got to hear you.
Thank you, Sunil.
I have a question. So you spoke about dynamic action, right? And when you talked about it, you said clip out the past and the future, just live in the present. But while staying in present, we tend to strategize for the future, and sometimes we become apprehensive while planning for the future. You know, how can we control that?
See, Amritika, when you're in the present, you're also in the future. Now you'll wonder why. Now, when you asked me the question, now that moment is already gone. Now we're already in the future of that moment when you asked me this question. So the moment
I think we lost him.
I think, yeah, we lost.
Yeah.
Seems to be a connection error at his end.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
There was one person who raised their hand.
Okay.
At this moment, we can request the attendees, in case they have a question, they may raise their hands, please. So that if we have time, we'd like to have you unmuted so that you can directly ask the question to our former president and the speaker for today, Mr. Anil Khaitan.
Vivek, I'm so sorry. My battery packed up of the computer.
No problem, sir, please.
So I've got my iPhone on. Is there any further questions, Vivek?
Yes, sir. I think there was a question coming in from Ritika ji, which she was, and you were explaining us about the future and the present moment and the
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. So Ritika, there is a concept known as the CANI, C-A-N-I, which means constant and never-ending action. So if we human beings, if we learn to act every moment of our waking life, you will see our activity intensifies so much that while we are acting, automatically you are creating your own future. You are removing the doubts of your future because action gives you the power. Action gives you creativity. Action gives you the power to think. Action gives you the power to basically navigate. So all these ingredients slowly go in. Because see, when I say cut your future, cut your future and cut your past, I literally don't mean it in that way. So what I mean is that be more in the present and be concerned about your present action, because your present action determines your future. So if your present actions are positive, they are towards an outcome focused, your future will accordingly be that. Because see, we can only do 99%. That 1% which we call luck, I am of the firm believer that is no luck, that is your karma. That is his grace. That is the grace of the creator, whether he gives it to you or not. But 99% we have to do. We cannot depend on God that he will do our work. That is what I basically meant, be in the moment. So to make your future. Does that answer your question, Ritika?
Yep. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have one more question.
Ritika, can I ask?
Yeah, please.
So you talked about multitasking, that how it doesn't work. And, I'm a working mother. So I'm constantly, that explains itself that I'm constantly multitasking. So what is the other way to do it?
No, why do you have to multitask, Aditi? I mean, why just you don't, you can, plan everything in sequence, as long as you don't idle away your time. If you have to feed your child, then you got to cook your food, and then you got to get ready. You got to do so many things, but then you got to do them sequentially. You cannot do them simultaneously. It's not possible, yeah. You've just got two hands and one brain. And let's assume today, how will you do physical multitasking? You can't. I mean, you can't be in this room and that room together, can you? So,
No.
In my perception, you cannot do multitasking. You have to do one task at a time, but don't give up. Keep on doing it. Do you remember that Johnny Walker advertising? They had a fantastic tagline. It said, "Keep walking." That is the whole name of the game. Just keep walking in life. If your direction is correct, and if you keep walking, believe me, Aditi, you will reach your destination. Because why? Your focus is on your destination. Say when the Indian Army in the Kargil war, when they captured the Tiger Hill, they had a huge focus. Just go and read and just Google the story of capture of Tiger Hill. That itself is a story of live daredevil focus of our Indian Army as to how they captured the Tiger Hill, which was totally bare. And Pakistanis had all their systems and their fortes set up on the top of the mountain. But still, our people captured it.
I really like what you said. Keep walking. It's very inspirational.
Thank you, Aditi.
Thank you.
Aditi, it seems you're in San Francisco. Huh? You got the lovely Golden Gate Bridge behind you.
Yes, actually, I'm a little under the weather today. So I'm working from home. So I have used the virtual background.
Right, okay.
Yes. Ritika, did you have a question?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have any question. I think there was one from the audience that I was directing towards that. Vivekji, do we still have someone from the audience with a question?
We have Mr. Milan Mehta. So I will unmute him.
Sure.
Namaskar, Vivekji.
Namaskar, Milanjit.
Yes,
Nice to have you here.
Reyes, it's a pleasure, sir. Always your kind invitation comes and I get the opportunity.
Wonderful.
My question to Anilji is, a lot of time people have experienced, and especially I have seen success when, people say sleep over the problem. So if there is a problem and suddenly you don't find a solution, then you stop thinking on the problem. And maybe after 5-6 hours or sleeping in the night, morning, you get a solution. So is that actually the subconscious mind working behind inside and then coming out with a solution? Or what exactly is that? And is it a successful technique? Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. You have answered your own question. I need not answer it.
Oh, thanks a lot. Because I just thought of it that it is the subconscious mind which is working. So thanks for, endorsing that statement. Thank you.
You've just hit the nail on the head, Mr. Mehta.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question, if I'm allowed.
Yes, Vivek, of course.
I remember one of my previous bosses in my previous organization, he would give us 10 things to do. And he would say, focus on this, focus on this, focus on this, focus on this, focus on this. So we used to, have a good laugh also. Yet we did achieve a lot of things. So my question is very basic. How many things can an individual focus on? What should be the maximum bandwidth which a person should really use to focus on, and on how many things ultimately? What's the optimum level at a given time?
Well, and Vivek, I can't give you a proper answer, a researched answer on that, but I can only say from my own experience, I feel maximum, 2 things. I could be of the old school of thought. A lot of you might not agree with me, but I'm still of the firm conviction that in case you have to, because I understand what, they asked me about 4-5 works to be done at, home. I can understand a predicament of a, housewife. She might have to look at 3-4 things together. But when I was speaking of multitasking in my talk, I was mainly talking in office. That in office, you should, learn to do one thing at a time, because then you go deep into it. You don't tend to be, shallow. Because you can always delegate your work. And you concentrate on your work, delegate your other work. And by the time you finish the work, your delegated work, say, maybe complete 30%. And then again, you can take it over. So to answer your question, I think maximum 2 times. Maximum 2 things.
Okay. So, sir, just to follow up on that, when, a lot of times you have moving goals, for example. So today your goal may be X. And 6 months down the line, while you're focusing on this goal, you suddenly feel that your goal is not this, but it's X plus Y maybe, or X minus Y. So is that changing of goalpost a sign of defocus?
No, of course not. If your goalpost is changing and it's changing to make you strive and work harder, I think it's a great way of feeling that you are evolving in life. You are progressing in life. Because if your goalpost or your targets keep on increasing as you reach your target, I know a lot of people will get, demotivated. Yaar, wo line pe pahunch rahe the, fir unhone aage kar diya. But it should be taken that way ki hum line pe pahunch gaye, iska matlab from the start to the finish, I have at least progressed that much. So you must constantly be on the move. Because Vivek, unless, you take a small example today. Can you tell me, can you ride a bicycle or can you keep your bicycle balanced without pedaling? No. Once you start pedaling, you got to keep on pedaling. The moment you stop pedaling, you fall down. Similar is the question in our lives, that we got to keep walking. The day we stop walking, we will be a wall hanging, finished. Does that answer your
Thank you.
question?
Very well,
thank you.
sir. Very well.
Thank you.
Archie, you had something, I guess.
I just had a comment, if I may, on
Yes,
your
please.
thing when you had said how many points you can keep in your mind. There is a book I had read, sir, called Getting Things Done by David Allen. So this gentleman has been writing on and working on personal productivity, efficient productivity. So he a lot of things that you have said and what he prescribes are very similar, that don't keep things in your mind and how do you set up a routine, etc., etc. In that, according to his research, he says you can keep a maximum of 4 things on your mind. Beyond that, your mind is not capable of holding stuff. So everything should go out of the mind and on paper or on a computer, whatever.
Well, I mean, that's great, Harsh. I'm so happy you basically also educated me on that. What did he say?
Please,
4
just
things.
4
What did he
things.
say?
That's what he says. 4.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for that input.
I think the talk was so impressive, so good. And as our chair said, it actually itself answered so many questions going forward in that. So I would now request our co-chair, Mr. Salil Gupta, to kindly give a formal vote of thanks. Though I'm sure I can say this on behalf of all the attendees and the chair and co-chair, including our Secretary General and everyone, that we can't thank you enough for all the knowledge which you have imparted and the pains which you have taken to actually put this together for our, our digestion. But definitely, we'll make an attempt through Mr. Salil Gupta to thank you enough for that, sir.
Thank you, Vivekji. Mr. Anil Khaitan, former President, PhD, CCI, and Chairman, Managing Director, Sunil Healthcare Limited. Mr. Saurabh Sania, Secretary General, PhD, CCI. Ms. Aditi Pasari, Chair, YBLF. My fellow co-chairs, Vivekji, friends and colleagues from the industry, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of YBLF and PhD Chamber, it's indeed my privilege to extend a formal vote of thanks. I would like to thank our eminent speaker, Mr. Anil Khaitan, for his inspiring words. It was indeed an enlightening and learning session for all of us present here today. I have not made these many notes in any session before, sir. I personally will be following a number of techniques mentioned by you today. Doing one task at a time seems to be the most toughest thing to follow, but it is what is needed to be done. And I have faith that by the end of the 30 days, I will speak with you and I will be in a position to tell you what difference it has made. I take this opportunity to thank everyone attending the session today and thank our online media partner, Bext.in, for promoting the event. Thank you to the Secretariat for the PhD Chamber to put this together. With this, I close my concluding remarks and close the session. Thank you all for attending.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, sir.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.